Much love to you and yours. This is Regina's Rabbit Hole. Siren Buddha Medicine. I have something to read to you. I have a little bit of a cold. Excuse my throat. Here we go. I'm going to be reading to you from Project Soul Catcher. This is page 102. The brain has always been a battlefield. I don't know if you could hear me before because it wasn't turned up. I'm going to be reading from Project Soul Catcher, page 102. The brain has always been a battlefield. New weapons might be able to hack directly into the nervous system. Controlled effects is one of the Air Force's ambitions, long-term challenges. It starts with better and more accurate bombs, but moves on to discuss devices that make selected advertisers think or act according to our needs. By studying and modeling the human brain and nervous system, the ability to mentally influence or confuse personal is also possible. The American military may want to attack the nervous system with pain rays and laser plasma pulses. But they're not the only ones. The Russians have long studied such systems too, including one weapon that could, in theory, remotely trigger heart attacks. Yep. Good day. Much love to you and yours. I started reading from my book. I'm trying to put together some pieces. This is, basically I'm at the point where I'm putting certain research together to be able to explain some things better to you. And this is one of the pieces I was going to do tomorrow, but I just couldn't rest after meditating on some of this information. So I wanted to read to you this so it could really sink in, because we're so behind schedule as far as the technologies that are being used. Yeah, thank you, beloved. Joseph, you're not lying. We're behind schedule, okay? So, in 2003, and the Second European Symposium on Non-Lethal Weapons, Anatoly Korolev, that's Anatoly Korolev is his name, and his colleagues from Moscow State University presented a paper with the snappy title, Bioelectric Dynamic Criterion of the presented a paper with the snappy little bioelectric dynamic criteria of the NLW effectiveness estimation and interaction mechanisms of the multi-layer skin tissues with electromagnetic radiation. Let me repeat that. Bioelectric dynamic criterion of the NLW effectiveness estimation and the integration mechanisms of the multi-layer skin tissues with electromagnetic radiation. This is the study of how radio frequency weapons like the American active denial system affect the skin. After wading through the mass technical data showing how complex and interactions are, we reach the punchline. It's a bit choppy, but stay with me, family. Thank you. I appreciate the share, Joseph. The punchline is the sensations, modality, prickling, touch, pressure, goose flesh, touch, burning, pain, etc. depends on the field parameters and individual concrete human being factor. As a matter of fact, we can really choose the non-lethal bioeffect. The effects include sensations similar to those disclosed previously and more besides. The paper discusses effects on cell membrane and affecting the body's normal function, including information transfer to the organs of control. The paper discusses effects on cell membrane and affecting the body's normal function, including information transfer to the organs of control due to the weapons that are being used on the populace. Much love, much love. At the same conference, V. McCullen, that's MAKUKHIN, of the Trimus Engineering Center of Moscow described electronic equipment for complex influence on biological objects. And when he says biological objects, he means you and me. His laboratory apparatus uses modulated beams of radio waves to produce what he terms disorder of the automatic nervous system. Put forward as possible non-lethal weapon, McCullen notes that there is no government agreement on how EM waves disrupt excuse me. This will all come together in a moment. Wait for it. If it's not heavy enough already. McCullum notes that there is no general agreement on how EM waves disrupt nerves. He mentions ion channels similar to those in the plasma paper, but he certainly seems to be seeing the same effects as American researchers. But it need not be non-lethal weapon. McCullen also mentions the effects of charge, of electrocutaneous electrocardiogram, and what he calls function break of the heart muscle. The vulnerability of the heart to electrical stimulus, including that produced by EM waves, is well documented. I will visit. A lethal device would interfere with the electrical potentials that keep the chambers of the heart synchronized, producing fibrillation and rapid death. A death ray doesn't need to be a truck-sized laser that reduces the target to smoking heap. A small device that stops the heart will do the job. Little has been openly published in this area and the public domain, but this may be the tip of the iceberg. We are likely to be hearing more in the future, especially if Russians manage to find funding. I don't think we need tinfoil hats just yet, he says, but later of the concluding mesh built into body armor might save a lot of heartache in the years to come. And that was an insert from this guy called David Hambling that he put to as like a confirmation / verification within the book. The reason why I'm reading this, how things are coming together, is biowarfare. Yes, I said biowarfare, not a figment of your imagination, but something actually being used on the populace. Biowarfare in the form of electromagnetic interference. I deal with gang stalking as a targeted individual. That's also another way of saying human trafficking, because it stifles you where you are. You're just levitating. You have to fight off the stress. Okay? Stress. Right now, during flu season, I'm fighting so many different stressors, many of them unnecessary. And what stress does is lower your body's immune system. Naturally, because your body's right to flight system will kick in. Your immune system will kick in. The body has a natural guards on it. We have natural guards on our mind and our body and our spirit. Sometimes, when you go to do things and there's that voice inside that says, that's not a good idea. Or something inside the spirit that says, you know what? I think that's a really good idea. It's a great idea. I should do that. Until we start second guessing ourselves with other programming, secondary programming outside of ourselves. We're like a computer. We take in programs. We have been programmed. Some programs are good, for lack of better words, productive. They produce things that we can all use, like the body helping with its functions, and other programs are counterproductive, like these electromagnetic warfare, biowarfare weapons that are being used on the populace that many of us don't even realize that they're doing. Okay? Many of us don't even realize we're targeting individuals on greater or lesser degrees. I'm going to continue reading. So, I'm not feeling well, and I'm fighting to keep my immunity system and my stress level at a manageable pace while dealing with being a targeted individual and a love bite situation. You know, relationships can be very stressful. Trying to get my last baby up and running out the house during the freaking apocalypse. Very stressful. And I'm not alone. Many of y'all are dealing with some of the similar situations, you know, finances and finding the right people to hook up with during the spiritual awakening, the parting of the waves where we're seeing the wheat from the tares, the phonies from the real people, and the entire time we're combating so many other things. This is definitely a spiritual war. The knowing from the unknowing. Like the guy said, there's not a lot of material at the time that was being produced. This book, 2010. Like I said, we're behind schedule. There's been so much upgrade to this technology. I salute you and honor you too. Much love to you and yours. Thank you for being here to upgrade your consciousness and to spend time with me, with us. The brain has always been a battlefield, I'm reading now. New weapons might be able to hack directly into your nervous system. We have those weapons already. Oh, here we go. Already read that part. Secondary and tertiary diseases caused by prolonged stress. See, we're not getting it. America runs on high stress. America eats its people. The America. Disease induction, such as diabetes, cardiovascular, and cancer can all be triggered by cell signaling mechanisms controlled by electromagnetics. Adrenochrome damage, adrenal burnout, leaving the target a lethargic, sluggish, schizophrenic. These are similar symptoms that many were described as after being tortured and Guantanamo Navy base. I'm going to move on to what they call cell signaling. First, you may not have been at Guantanamo Navy base, and you may not identify yourself with being exclusively a targeted individual, where your ideas and your emotional equity is being harvested. You know what I'm saying? However, If you look at the state and the condition of our society right now during the COVID-19, put on your mask, take off your mask. We demand you do this. We demand you don't do that. You can work. You can't work. Those people can work. Those people can't work. Put your hands up. Put your hands down. On a society and a populace and a culture that has already been strained for finances, strained during a constellation change. When there's a full moon, we feel it. It's part of the subtle energies. When there's planetary alignments, we feel it. It's a part of the subtle energies. And subtle doesn't mean null. Subtle means subtle. Subtle can be dangerous, especially if we're not informed of it. If we don't put it within our awareness, subtle can affect us and we don't know we're being affected. So we're subtly being affected in very traumatic ways. Subtle meaning we ask you, we request you, we inform you that there's a law change. We're telling you that we want you to comply. Subtly sending frequencies through our societies, ripples of fear. So we have societal changes and we have constellational changes that dictate and govern changes within our biological structures. This is the natural way that our bodies respond to our environment. It's not going anywhere just because many of us are not aware of it, because we're not educated about it. But there are others who clearly don't mind taking advantage of our lack of awareness. Reading again. And moving into a cell structure, cell signaling, Page 104, A Project Soul Catcher, Volume 2, Cell signaling is a part of a complex system of communication that governs basic cellular activities and coordinates cell actions. Let that sink in, The ability of cells to perceive and correctly respond to their microenvironment is the basis of development, tissue repair, and immunity, as well as normal tissue homeostasis. Errors in cellular information processing are responsible for disease such as cancer, autoimmunity, and diabetes. And cardiac muscle gap junctions between adjacent cells allows for action potential propagation from cardiac pacemaker region of the heart to spread and coordinately cause contradiction excuse me, contraction, not contradiction, contraction of the heart, okay? There's a space. That's why breathing and relaxing, meditation is so important, is because when the body tenses, it can change the cardiac muscle, the rhythms in that gap junction. Kind of like hyperventilation. The tightening or loosening the coil within our DNA structure. Our DNA is like a crystal with copper coils in it. So it tightens and it relaxes. It tightens and it relaxes. Too much relax, you get a lazy DNA structure. And people are a lot like cell structures. It's very fractal and very embedded. And if you get too wound up and tight, you might snap and pop something. You know what I'm saying? So the balance, the perfect balance that the universe, that the Most High keeps, it keeps, you know what I'm saying? That ain't changing. With the ebb and flow of the tides, the rotation of the spheres in the universe, the rhythmic flow and the beat of our hearts, the four winds and the seasons, the way our body extracts essences, timed release to extract certain materials and energies, like the body clock, like the mitochondria. Our body is light sensitive, energy sensitive to subtle energies, as well as ones we're aware of. And that all affects our biology in very deep ways, very profound ways that other people have been researching and discovering for decades, centuries. Our fractal being in this black box, you know what I'm saying? In this matrix. You're welcome. Much love to you and yours, family. Many cell signals are carried away by molecules that are released by one cell and move to make contact with another cell, much like people, you know what I'm saying? The endocrine systems are called hormones. Hormones are produced by endocrine cells, and they travel through the blood to reach all parts of the body. Specifically, signaling can be controlled if only some cells can respond to particular hormones. So if we're isolated, this affects the body's response, respects the body's growth, respects the whole cell. I mean, you know, and this is fractal, so you get cell as in another body, cell as in an individual, and an individual that can affect a cell, and a cell that can affect a whole society like a body. It's all pretty much the same. So you got these cells. They're not sleeping. We were. It's reverse, you know what I'm saying? They're like sleeper cells, like ex-Nazis, like never stopped being ex. We just started sleeping. We forgot who they were, forgot who we were, forgot what we were holding, and forgot what they were packing. A wicked initiative to want to mess with our DNA, to want to steal, kill, and destroy. So anyway, it's like a bad, it's like a parasite, you know what I'm saying? I'm chewing on this piece of celery stick. Celery is really good for effing up free radicals. I couldn't think of the proper technical term. Okay. Paracrine signals, and I'm probably saying that wrong, Paracrine, signals target only cells that the vicinity of the emitting cell. Neurotransmitters represent an example. Some signaling molecules can function as both a hormone and a neurotransmitter. Some signaling molecules can function both as a hormone and a neurotransmitter. For example, epinephrine, and I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, epinephrine, and norepinephrine, norepinephrine, can function as hormones when released from the adrenal gland and are transported to the heart by way of the bloodstream. All you got to know is that when you get stressed out, there are hormones, or there's alchemy in your body that will turn on things in the adrenochrome that attack your body's immune system. When you get stressed out, it affects your body's immune system. Autoimmune deficiency disorder. It's AIDS. That's what AIDS was, remember? Something that attacked your immune system. And by attacking your immune system, people didn't die of AIDS. They died of complications to AIDS. Much like people are not actually dying of COVID. They're dying of other things attributed to COVID. But it's actually the body's immune system breaking down. Try not to go into other areas. There's so many vectors. One vector that I want you to know about is with the COVID-19 vaccine, they are using the CRISPR. You got to look up some of these definitions of what I'm saying. Now, the CRISPR is a machine that can take a slice from your DNA strand, copy it, and then replace it, insert it into another DNA strand. This is transference, okay? The medical community has other names for it, but we're going to call it what it is. We're going to call it transference as I'm explaining it to you. So that's what this is saying, that because of the stress, there's a transference, and hormones I lost my place. Give me a moment. Okay, here we are. Yes. Some signaling molecules can function as both a hormone and a neurotransmitter. Okay? That's the transference. That's the overlay. That's when stress hits your butt and the adrenochrome comes, okay? And trying to remember other names off the top of my head. That would just get more complicated. There's other names. It breaks into other things, other alchemic names inside the bloodstream that I'll talk about at a later date. Stimulating, what this does is the description of this cell signaling mechanisms helps one understand how diabetes can be induced, and the remote heart attack weapon works by both stimulating the adrenal gland through neural entrainments while simultaneously stimulating contraction of blood vessels and irregular heart activity. I don't know if you can tell this, obvious enough I'm having some problems. One, the blue light, my own stress that I already told you about, which is one of the reasons why when I start getting really funky, I always resort back to my research. When things don't add up, ask myself, why am I feeling the way that I am? Stress, and I'm not reading right now, slows down your neurotransmitters. Your cognitive, yes, your do you see what's happening? This is where worlds come together. Targeted individual. Now, you may not call yourself a targeted individual, but you are susceptible to blue light. Blue light is in the technology naturally and around us naturally. More so, subtle energies like blue light and counterproductive EMF radio frequencies coming from the 5G cell towers and such, also making an impact on the way you think, the way you feel, based on the way your body is responding. Using myself as an example also to these external, internal stressors. So there's a balance to this ish. Weigh your stress level within your life, and figure out what's going on with you. And then you can get a better idea as to how you're being affected, known and unknown. Yes, many of us are very unaware. That's the whole point. We see, but we're not seeing. We're not seeing what's really happening. We're seeing what they want us to see. Inefficiency? Yes, but why? Why does it look like that? Why is it consistently not moving? Why is there a stagnation in the body? In the body. Y'all out there, in the body. Or in the body with the energies. You know, why? I was just thinking of universal law. By paying attention to the subtle energies, to correspondences, we're able to glean and peep what most people take for granted or ignore. The subtle becomes loud. It's not so subtle anymore. But if we're always running and we don't take a time to really meditate, then we don't get to see it. Sometimes you got to look at that thing that just doesn't look right and try to figure out what's going on here. And look outside of the regular constructs. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. Okay, now when these hormones, back to reading. When these hormones are stimulated and released from the adrenal gland and are transported to the heart by way of the bloodstream, and they can also be produced by neurons to the function as neurotransmitters within the brain, okay? So not just within the body, changing the body systems, but also changing the way we think. Excuse me. And that's the way they're changing human beings in the batteries, just like in the Matrix movie, where Morpheus explains to Neo in a holographic room how they're changing this to this, you know, and he shows them the little battery. We are a series of electrical pulses and stimuluses. Yeses and nos. You know, I'm going to do it or I'm not. I'm interested or I'm... and as we're drawn further into the yes or no, there's other factors due to impulse and just response to behavior, to likes and dislikes, that can be compounded onto that. Like, okay, we know they don't like that, so let's find a way to trigger that and harvest that and utilize that, not like. We can attribute that behavior that they don't like to this particular group over here through transference. And then we can control that group by taking that not like that was attributed to this and pasting it over here. It's kind of like what they did with the CRISPR when they took an immune deficiency disorder called AIDS, sliced a piece off of it, said I want this piece, not the whole AIDS, just this section of it. I'll throw that over there away, and we'll take these, and that's like our GMOs and stuff. You know what I'm saying? We just play God. Just ignore that little piece right there. Ignore what I just freaking did. Where's the tape? I got some tape over there too. I can just tape this right back together and stick it in there, and shoot, when the next generation pops out, they might not even ask. They might even ask why that's like that. They might just leave it there and maybe even duplicate it. Shit works, right? It's still a bookmark. I can still use this piece. As a placeholder. Excuse me. / laughing, trying to breathe. I'm also drinking green tea as an antioxidant, as I'm chewing on my cinnamon stick. Really good for free radicals. Okay, so this can, back to reading, stimulate irregular heart activity, stress, and I already gave you the reasons why. Stimulating neurotoxicity is a part of the set of signals used for menticide. Many diseases can be induced with just complex modulated radio waves. Many diseases can be induced with just complex modulated radio waves. Cancer induction. It said cancer induction takes longer to kill the targets, but useful in silent genocides over populations. The CIA has developed many subrace dependent viruses for such uses. CIA, COINTEL, Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali, man, I mean, there's a long list. I was trying to think of one, and just the whole list just like, the whole list goes in your brain and you can't think of one. They all mesh together. I know, right? Family said, damn, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, we're not done yet, family. This was gonna be tomorrow. But hey, tomorrow's today. Tomorrow's today. This book is called Project Soul Catcher. It's a really good book. Due to the interference, like my internet shutting off and the whole homeostasis of the environment, not exactly foregoing a lecture of any sort. I can get behind on my notes and updating you. And I like to make sure I know what the heck I'm talking about, even though there's so many moving parts. So here we are. This has got to be done now. Redox is called rusting. It's like rusting. It's a process of oxidation. Oxidation is loss of electrons. You need nitrogen oxide. Okay? Movement. We are sitting in chairs now. You are really not allowed to move about the planet as you would like to now. And it's high stress and all that contributes to this redox, this process of rusting and oxidation that you don't want. Stress and hyperventilation cause oxidation. These are vortexes, accesses that we do not want. Compounded interest on our very being. We don't want that. We don't want that. We want to control our neurochemistry, okay? We want to control our neurochemistry. We want to control our vortex, our black holes. I'm into my own notes now that I've mixed up for my own personal uses, which I was explaining to you. Chem means black hole. We're working with alchemy. A black hole is a vector. DNA is a black hole. Alchemy means navigation in and out of black holes. So, Marlin, Ka, we're setting the pace. We're changing the narrative. We're changing the beat, okay? More, not less. Because we're behind schedule and understanding what they're doing to us. I don't want to go too fast for you. I really don't. I don't want to lose anyone. Okay. When cells are too loose, we call that AIDS, an autoimmune deficiency disorder, right? I already explained to you. And when cells are tight, we call it cancer. Who did I learn that from? Oh, that was Professor Winter. And oxidation is loss of electrons, and reduction is gain of electrons. That was Dr. Inky. Do you see where my research is leading me? One thing I'm talking about is energy, as far as us as electrical beings, and the other one is us as biological beings, and they're both the same. So there's an overlay. So we're electrical beings and we're biological beings. There's an overlay. Water is programmable. Check out Dr. Moto's water research project, and you'll see how sound and frequency can affect the body's DNA and cellular structure. Side note, check out Starlight Elixir, okay? And how water is a phenomenal thing. I mean, we haven't even touched the surface on what water actually is and is capable of, okay? But here we are. Our bodies, inner space, interdimensional space, and it's made of over 70% water. Different parts are made up of more water than others, okay? Has more percentage of water, but overall, over 70%, and then a planet, fractal again, is over 70% water. So, encased in that water is the essence of what it actually is that we're still learning how to comprehend. But yet, it's still there. Here we are, and it's still affecting us. Like your intestines. You pull your intestines out, they're extremely long. Like, I think a football field. At least. I think. Not sure. But they're really long. Longer than we think they were, wrapped up inside of our bodies, right? Okay. Let me get to this part really quick. What is gravity? Talking about vectors, inserting things into our DNA and transference, and what is that? A magnetic node cross point. You get a still point, and the still point is places where things can get along with each other, where things can mix with each other, where things congeal with each other, where things change, okay? Where things set in tension or momentum. Okay. We're made of all these... No, I can't go into that. I've already probably maxed you out already. But it has to do with these shapes. And these shapes allow for the implosion. And on a macro level, these shapes are affecting us, okay? These shapes can form waves. These shapes carry light and water and information. And they make up different parts of our body. Like, if I told you that this card that I ripped up is composed of just a whole bunch of little tiny triangles, you might not believe me. But it's this little tiny one shape that allows for it to even take on the form that it had to begin with at all. And that's kind of what I'm, as far as implosion and vectors, that's what I mean by a vector. Okay? Vectors allow for things to come together with common interest. And you can build on them. So that's what our DNA is doing. And that's what they're doing with electromagnetic interference, using biological warfare, and their knowledge about how DNA structure and the human body works, and how electricity and information can travel through light and water to affect our DNA and our cell structure. Sunlight is something that you're going to need. But yeah, we find a lot of chemtrails blocking out the sunlight. I was thinking global warming and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Side note, how that could also be something deliberately there to compound the failing of DNA. Lack of vitamin D is related to pneumonia, diabetes, and coronary artery disease, inflammation, brown glass, and chronic lung disease. Vitamin D deficit is attributed also to SARS and COVID-19 pandemic. Don't you need as much air as you possibly can get as far as the lessen the oxidation, lessen the stress? Right. The air quality in the blood, okay? Nitric oxide promotes blood flow. If you manage your cortisol, you can build immunity, okay? So manage our stress. Managing the stress brings back adaptability to the tissues and blood vessels, from that constricting to even when you do that, you know what I'm saying? Even for the moments that you do that. What am I showing you? Stuff that I actually use. I'm not just talking about stuff that I've actually incorporated into my life. And if I'm having a problem explaining things to you, it's slowing things down and figuring out what to explain exactly to you and not throwing too many things at you, but giving you not enough, but enough but not too much. Kind of like too much stress or not enough stress. You know what I'm saying? Did you know that the kidney controls digestion? And that there's sounds that we can make that actually help with that contracting, bringing it back to a homeostasis. And because I like to be solution based, I'm sharing this in addition, even though it's an abundance of information. The ha sound. Now remember, I'm your laughter facilitator. Okay, so see that it does feel so much better just that easily, right? Say ha 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 ha. You got to do this with Montechia and do this. Actually, this is something that I learned becoming your laughter facilitator. I'm actually certified. Get it? Certified. That's the path that led me to become your laughter facilitator. Yes. So, using the frequency of ha 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 ha. You're gonna laugh because it's a frequency. That's what I'm showing you, is that subtle energy we notice because you can hear it. There's other subtle energies like your refrigerator humming, your smart meter, your generator heater in your basement, things like that, that are emitting frequencies. There are frequencies being emitted through blue light, through your laptop, through your cell phone, through the cell towers, through the new 5G that are affecting, emitting waves, frequencies that we don't see. We may see the device, you know what I'm saying? But we don't see the waves. Most of us, some of us do have this sight where we can see light in different waves, but most of us don't. So, I've given you a tip to help loosen up your lymphatic system with the ha. Ha! And there's lots of other sounds to surround ourselves with to help us deal with what it is, whatever your situation is. The reason why I research and use particular tools is for mental wellness, to help with physical wellness, to help combat what's being done to us that I'm aware of as a melanated person, as a woman, as an intelligent being, challenging the narrative, bringing awareness to whomever will listen, who has the intelligence and mentality to listen, to change, to magnetize to this frequency, bringing back what I have magnetized to be able to help in order to help fix our body, okay, that has been damaged over a period of time. This is very fractal and very personal to me, to us. Yeah. Rome wasn't built in a day. Our roads lead back to Ram, to information, to information about our degradation, to this mirage, this marriage. There's a lot of parallels, okay? And that's what I'm sharing to you, and that's why I'm on this journey. A-E-I-O-U, and sometimes why I, hypothetically, metaphorically, infinitely, your laughter facilitator, Siren Buddha Medicine, your sister, friend, family, comrade, spiritual warrior. Up at, what time is it? Is it 3 yet? All right, much love to you and yours. I'm out. I'm gonna go over these notes again. I was gonna wait and give this to you today, but yesterday turned into today, and it was already too late for our tomorrows, you know what I'm saying? So we had to do this now for the future. Much love to you too. Thanks. And you know what? This is not easy. I need you. Well, my human side needs you. My spiritual side don't need you. Because it's getting that from source energy. Source energy told me that I'm supposed to connect with you. It needs you. I need you. We need each other. I'm growing towards you, growing away from my pain, walking toward yours and you, and what you don't even know you're in already. I'm gonna live trying and doing and being